Good afternoon, everybody. On this October 14th, 2025, got all of your stories for your rush hour ride home. A lot of Bachelor content as a new show has been announced. I've got the insider tea. We'll get to that early on. I'm also going to discuss Justin Baldoni. We'll have that early on. Baldoni had a new motion granted to extend some time. Also, we're going to listen to some audio from billionaire financier. Did I pronounce that right? Steve Sarowitz, Baldoni's co-founder, what he had to say about what might be the troubling time they were going through with the director who snitched on them. And then we're also going to talk about corruption in the government exposed. We have it on hot mics. So we'll get into that in the second half of the episode. Plus, we have media coming together, the left and the right, media coming together to tell the Department of War to go kick rocks. It's a vile story. It's a big viral story. So we'll get into that, and then the protests happening in Portland, peaceful protests happening in Portland. So we've got all these stories and more. It starts right now on The Rush. All right. First things first, here's your Baldoni update. The judge has granted a requested extension. The post-discovery status conference scheduled for October 21st is adjourned till December 9th. So my question is this trial going to happen on time? I mean, I got to get lodging set up. This is supposed to be in New York in March. If they could just extend the trial till May, it's just nicer weather. Let's do a May trial. Can we do that? We can wear our floral outfits. We can go to the courthouse. Now, as you guys know, I pledged to you, if you could get me to 100,000 subscribers, that I would be there for the trial, barring any other big stories like I am a star witness for the state of Arizona in a trial in January. If that gets pushed, we might have a conflict of interest. Otherwise, I'll clone myself. I'll be there. I'm going to strap some Starlink to my head and live stream from the courthouse. You're going to get your money's worth. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Now, this deadline to extend, discovery, these extensions, is this good for Blake or good for Justin? Well, I'll say this. It seems to me that Baldoni is on the side of more information is better, get as much information out there, and that Blake's on the side of, she's acquiring information privately, she's selectively deciding what to share. So I think the extension for more discovery benefits Baldoni more than her. If you're afraid and you think you're hiding something, you just want to get to the discovery finish line. But they're saying, hey, let it all keep on coming in. We want to spend the time combing through it all. So it seems to be good for them. Now, here's an interesting clip I'm going to share. It's been going around in the Team Justin Baldoni subreddit. This is Steve Sarowitz, the billionaire, co-founder of Wayfair, and this is a 20-second clip of him talking about the adversity he was facing in August of 2024. This was way before Baldoni was sued. This is way before the harassment claims in the New York Times article. This is when they were privately dealing with all of the turmoil and the bad, imagery of Baldoni. At the time, this is, I think, right before Cast was unfollowing him, and everyone thought he was this bad guy. Again, no information came out to back up these claims of verbal abuse and claims of harassment. But here's what Steve was dealing with, talked about it on a podcast very vaguely, but now knowing what we know in hindsight makes a lot of sense.
I remember even actually here in Denmark, I got a call, which wasn't a great call, about a particular business situation. And it was very difficult. And dealing with someone who's very difficult to deal with, and my company's kind of backed into a corner. And how do you do it? And I went to sleep and I prayed a little bit. And I woke up the next morning and I felt light as air. And I just said, whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Now, let me be the first to tell you, I'm not a billionaire, but I can imagine if I had $1 billion, if I were a billionaire, if I had $1 billion, I'd be rich. And I think I would have a little bit of a lighter air too. I'd wake up with $1 billion. I'd wake up every day and say, show me my bank account. And I would see $1 billion and I would go, that's a lot of zeros. Is that 1 billion or 10 billion? Anyhow, he's talking about, well, first of all, we don't know what he's talking about. He's got his irons in many fires, but it could be that he's talking about Empire Waste director Claire Ayoub in her declaration about Justin Baldoni. Blake Lively acquired this phone call an audio recording from Claire that she made with Steve Sarowitz, where he, I guess, called, said something about dead bodies. And I don't know. I mean, honestly, it's so hard to talk about because we just need to hear the damn audio. But either way, this is being used by Blake Lively to say, I fear for my life. They're coming after me, X, Y, and Z. On his end, he's seeing it as she's just someone very difficult to work with. So that's kind of what the main argument is going to be about. What was the Baldoni Wayfair team harassing her, or was she just really difficult to work with? My thought is, what's more likely? That your star that you got for your film, who everyone's bending over backwards to please, is it more likely that you harassed her, or is it more likely that she's really difficult to work with? You had a budget that wasn't that big, so maybe she had to make concessions or work longer days, or maybe it was a little bit more blue collar than the red carpet she wanted rolled out for her. Look, I want to believe people when they say they're harassed and things like that, but I also want to save room for the evidence to come out. Evidence we haven't seen yet. So there's your Blake Lively Baldoni updates, but always interesting to hear in hindsight as we sort of untangle these Christmas lights and see kind of where this whole thing got started. And the idea that Claire Ayoub didn't want Justin to be a part of the program, it wasn't because she didn't like the guy. Really, it was because of the stench that Blake Lively had caused. She says, as a result of, that's not exactly true. She says, in August of that year, as a result of my experiences with Baldoni and ongoing press coverage relating to Mr. Baldoni and It Ends With Us, I requested that he not be involved in Empire Waste marketing or public relations effort. So again, what her experience is, I want to have grace for that. I want to hear, what's that verbal abuse you talk about? If you're a Baldoni supporter, no one's claiming the guy's Jesus reincarnate, although when he had long hair and abs, that's a good-looking Jesus. CrossFit Jesus. No one's claiming that he's perfect, but is him being maybe a personality type that's difficult to work with on a director to producer level, is that worth calling someone verbally abusive? And do words mean anything anymore? You know what I mean? All right. How about this? From Baldoni to Baldwin, Alec Baldwin in a car accident. Here's what he had to say.
This morning I was in this car accident. A guy cut me off in a truck, big garbage truck. I mean, a garbage truck the size of a whale. To avoid hitting him, I hit a tree. I hit a big fat tree and crushed my car, my wife's car.
So there he is, crushed his wife's car. Listen, I'm going to go out on a hunch and say he was speeding because I've never been sideswiped by a garbage truck. Maybe it was in the guy's blind spot. I don't want to victim blame. Who knows? But either way, we're glad everybody is safe. It was him and I think his brother, Stephen Baldwin. Here's Hilaria Baldwin claiming she got bullied off of Dancing with the Stars.
I did get bullied off the show.
That's all she said. I got bullied off the show. I'm here to tell you, no, you didn't. It's a democracy. You didn't get enough votes. That's like saying Kamala Harris got bullied from being the president. No, she lost the election. That's just how it works. You have to live in reality. Now, could Hilaria claim that the voting booths they use at Dancing with the Stars are corrupt? Maybe they're anti-Hilaria voting booths? I don't know. But either way, Dancing with the Stars back on tonight. My favorite show. HGTV's Bachelor Mansion Takeover taps 12 former contestants to transform iconic home. I'm going to share the cast with you and some insider tea that I received. This coming after a quick word from our sponsors. Today's episode of the Rush Hour podcast is sponsored by Upside. It is a free app that gets you cash back for purchases you're already making at gas stations, restaurants, convenience marts, grocery stores. It's unbelievable. How it works is you just go to the app. It's free. You type in where you live and it shows you literally all of the thousands of different options, from saving 65 cents per gallon to, look at this, Five Guys, burger and fries, 38% cash back. You just buy the food, the gas with your credit card, then you upload the receipt through the app, and it's money. Cold, hard cash straight back to your bank account. No confusing rewards, points, or credits. Actual money that you will transfer into your pocket. $1 million in cash back is being earned by users every week. Upside has given back $1 billion to its users. To find out how much you could earn, download the free Upside app and use promo code RUSHHOUR to get an extra 25 cents back on every gallon on your first tank of gas. That's an extra 25 cents back for every gallon on your first tank of gas using promo code RUSHHOUR. Now let's get back to the show. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. That's why I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for $15 a month. So ditch those overpriced wireless plans. All Mint Mobile plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/TRH. That's mintmobile.com/TRH. Upfront payment of $45 required, the equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Well, here it is. That's right. A new show coming to the Bachelor Mansion. It's a makeover show. I think this is a genius idea, to be quite honest. The Bachelor franchise is so stale. For them to bring back some of our favorites and actually have a point to the show, right? Nobody's finding love on The Bachelor. The least they can do is patch up a few walls and paint the interior. You know what I mean? Because the Bachelor Mansion's an old mansion. I mean, look at that. I don't know what's aging better, the mansion or Jesse Palmer. The answer is Jesse Palmer. He's not nearly as old as that stucco. But either way, they both have Botox. No, I'm kidding. Or I'm not. I don't know. But either way, here's who we have. The judges for this new HGTV show are Tayshia and Tyler. First of all, this alone is huge that they would be willing to do a show. My guess is they're willing to do it because they don't have to date anyone on camera. I think they're both in a Tayshia might be single now, actually. She might. I have no idea. She kind of like took her fame and money from the show and ran. And I don't blame her. You know what I mean? If you have a chance to make it outside of The Bachelor, that's what you do. Why? Because there's some crazy fans. Come on, let's admit it. Bachelor fans are nuts. Jesse Palmer's hosting. And then here's who we have. Jill, Sam, and by the way, Jill was great on Paradise, real funny. Sam, kind of a villain, but let's see if he can have a redemption. Dean, long time, from the Bachelor golden era, he was there during the height of the show. Then we have Joan, who was our golden bachelorette there. And then Courtney Robertson, the greatest villain of all time. Brendan, another villain from The Great Unfollowing. I'm very excited to see him come back. He has some construction experience. He's constructed a blue steel face right there, looking good. Sandra, lovable from Golden Bachelor. And then Jeremy, a recent relative villain from his show. Noah, again, he's with Abigail, Oklahoma. They were renovating their own home, so great. Chris, Tammy, and then Alicia kind of villainy, and then Tammy's kind of like a funny villain. I've had Tammy on. I'm trying to see who have I had on Driving with Dave. Tammy has done it, and I was gonna have what's his face there? I'm already forgetting people's names. I was gonna have Noah on Driving with Dave as I was driving across the country, but I didn't realize how far away he lived from the highway I was driving, and it was several hour drive. And I was like, you know what, Noah, let's reschedule. But we have had Courtney on. We're good friends with her, and I've asked a few of these other folks to be on, and and maybe some of them haven't gone back to me. Whatever, no big deal. Either way, I guess they compete in HGTV style events. I'm guessing it's kind of like challenges like who's going to design the grotto on the whatever. But I think it's a good idea. And here's what I heard. You guys want to hear the tea? I heard the show was way more dramatic than what the producers expected. I heard that they had like your standard HGTV producers, and they didn't realize that everyone who came on the show was like super dramatic within the Bachelor Nation. I've also heard that some people that might be lovable from past seasons are going to be extreme villains. And we might have some redemption stories. So do I think this will be successful? I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think this might be more popular, or at least more entertaining to those who watch it than the actual Bachelor show, because it takes away the stupid stakes of putting on like these purity dresses and spray tans and, I'm waiting for the fantasy suite. It's like, no, get out there with a sledgehammer, go fight each other and redo the living room. You know what I mean? All right. So there's your updates there. This is an interesting story. The boss at Instagram was grilled by the Today Show about how addictive Instagram is. You guys know we love talking about screen time. Let's have a listen.
And by the way, we all know the more time you spend on these apps, the worse it is for your mind, especially young minds. How do you square that with what you're saying today about trying to keep kids safe, if the goal is to keep them on the app as long as possible, how do you square that?
So the goal is to create an experience that people and teens find valuable, to help teens connect with their friends, to explore their interests. Teens are at an age where they're trying to figure out who they are in the world, and exploring their interests is one of the most important ways to do that with friends. So our responsibility is to maximize positive experiences and minimize negative experiences. And so we want to make sure that we do just that, and that people feel good about the time that they spend on Instagram. So we've got a lot of tools, not just for parents, but for teens directly, that try and focus the experience on what's more positive.
But you've got to keep them on the app.
Not necessarily. I mean,
that's how you make your money. You make your money when folks are scrolling, sometimes doom scrolling.
Now, he's right. That's the name of the game. The question is, what are you going to do? Ban Instagram from letting people use their app after a certain amount of hours? I personally believe this is where parents come in and try to instill values into their kids to know when you're doom scrolling. But again, if an addiction exists because it's addictive, right? And like, for instance, we don't allow our child to have screen time. I mean, he's not even, he's 17 months old. You shouldn't be holding a screen in your phone. And I'm not shaming parents who let it happen. But Jonathan Haidt, who talks about this screen issue, talks about the difference between watching a story on TV, like a long form story, like a movie or a TV show. That's different than someone holding a screen and getting a reward loop by doom scrolling, hitting the like button, commenting, engaging. That's bad for everybody, adults too. And we need to know the difference between consuming content versus the constant casino slot game. The conversation around screen time isn't that screen time is all bad. It's the screen time that sucks your mood and your energy and puts a bully in your pocket. That's the bad screen time. But do I think the app has a duty to ban kids from using it? It's challenging. I think they should do a real good job of putting parameters up so that parents and kids can know how much time they spend and set goals to like log you off at a certain hour, but make it like opt in, because it's like, you know, at some point people need to have autonomy to decide what to do. Like, we're not trying to ban cookies. There's no government program that says, oh, you've ate too many cookies, no more cookies. It's like, well, at some point your parents got to knock the cookie out of her mouth and say, enough. You know, which I could have used with my mom, because I was a kid who did not say no to a sweet, and now I'm an adult who has a sugar addiction. All right, John Mayer is 47-year-old John Mayer dating influencer Kat Stickler. 30 years young. After cozy photos emerge, a new report, Kat, of course, was with Jason Tartick, so this is Bachelor adjacent. But there's John Mayer going, I mean, what's the rule? Half your age plus 7? So technically, let's round him down to 46. So that's 23 plus 7 is 30. Hey, she's right in this. I did the math. Folks. It's safe, I guess. Here's a good story. Powerball winner Edwin Castro spending millions of dollars to rebuild after Altadena homes torched by LA wildfires. I love that. People that use their money. You know, he's only spending $10 million, which is a percentage of the several $100 million he won in the lottery. What did he win there? He won $2 billion. But if I were him, this is where I would like set up my own bank. I'd take, if I was a billionaire, if I had $1 billion, I'd be rich. If I had $1 billion, I would take, I don't know, 800 million of that. I'd put it in a bank where it generates interest, and then I would use that money to give out very low interest rate loans to people so that they could afford a home. But who the hell am I? Just some podcaster trying to, make his way in the world. Donald Trump is not happy. He slams Time magazine for the unflattering cover photo. I mean, come on, they made him the cover of their photo. You know, they made him the cover model of their Time magazine. But no good deed goes unpunished. Time magazine wrote a relatively good story about me, but the picture may be the worst of all time. They disappeared my hair and then had something floating on top of my head that looked like a floating crown, but an extremely small one. Really weird. I never liked taking pictures from underneath angles, but this is a super bad picture and deserves to be called out. What are they doing and why? But he complains about photography like it's my wife. Like, whenever I post a photo that I took of my wife, she's always like, what the hell angle is that? And it's always like, but there he is, says his hair has disappeared. Sorry, Donald, that's just what your hair looks like, But either way, again, Trump priorities, not happy with the way the angle of the photo was taken. And again, we covered this story before, but Paul Pierce fell asleep at the wheel, claims he was just tired while cops are waiting on blood test results after the DUI arrest. I believe him. I believe that he was just tired. Come on, you get old. You know, he says he was waiting in stop and go traffic, stand still for 45 minutes and fell asleep. Again, I'm not saying it's safe. Don't be falling asleep at the wheel, but I believe him. But we'll wait and see what the toxicology had to say. All right. And this is, let's go to our final story for the first half of the episode. Here we have a person who is in charge of the neighborhood HOA holding a gun, brandishing a gun because a guy was going door to door, I guess, trying to sell things for his business. Now, I live in an HOA where there's a sign that says no soliciting, but I've also done door to door sales. It's annoying when someone rings your doorbell and wakes your baby up. It's annoying, but at the same time, do you need to have a gun in your hand? So I didn't know the rules. I mean, in every HOA is different, but apparently it's a felony to be holding onto your gun. And again, maybe this is different in every state. I don't know. But I guess in states where you can open carry, you have to keep the gun in the holster unless there's a reason to have it out. So this might get this HOA guy in trouble. HOAs are funny, aren't they? I mean, you know, my HOA is pretty simple. You know, if the grass gets above 14 inches, you get a ticket or something. I don't know. And it's like, I get it. You know, you don't want an eyesore. You don't want the guy who's got bushes where you're not supposed to have bushes. I get it. You know, you need some sort of laws. The problem is when people become authoritarian with their laws. And luckily, my HOA isn't that issue. But boy, do you hear horror stories. All right, coming up next, speaking of horror stories, we've got a blatant corruption happening between our government and the government of Indonesia. I'm going to play this clip for you coming up after this.